How do you feel about this new lawsuit? It's a girl that was 17 at the time accusing Harve Pierre of forcing her to give him fellatio. And she also claims that Diddy, he flew her to New York and he gang raped her in his recording studio called Daddy House.
Well, I think that any man that force any woman to do anything, it should be like the Arab countries. They just start cutting shit off, to be totally honest, of that man. Any man that forces any woman to do anything, they should treat them like they treat them in the Arab countries and just start cutting shit off. From their fingers to their hands to their feet to their genitals to their head. You know what I'm saying? So now, another thing of it is that how low do you have to be when you're going to put somebody on a jet and fly them all the way to New York to the studio? To me, bro, to be totally honest, it sounds kind of fishy to me. I can't, but and then it came from Harve Pierre. The Harve Pierre I knew back in them days, was a cornball that did everything Puff said. You know what I mean? Like he was one of Diddy highest dick riders. So I don't know that Harve Pierre. The time they said it happened when I was reading in 2003, I was around at that time. You know what I'm saying? Me and about 8, 9 other bodyguards. See, what people don't know, that Puff had a lot of bodyguards. Everybody has certain days. You understand? I had Saturdays and Sundays. And then when Puff went away, or they were certain places and I was off work, they may call me and say, yo, Gene, Puff wants you here. Can you come? This, that, and the third. And if I could, I would. If I did, I did. It wasn't no big thing. So for them to do that, man, that's some real thirsty, desperate shit. That's some real thirsty, desperate shit for them to fly a 17-year-old girl, on a G5. They was flying G5 and G4 jets back then. All the way to New York to rape her in the studio. Man, I wish I could, I wish I could give them their punishment, if that's true.
Yeah, that's what she said, man. She said that Diddy, he flew her to New York, took her to the studio, gave her drugs, and gang raped her. And there's pictures online too. So she was at his studio, Daddy House. So, I mean, she ain't lying about that. She was there, man.
Well, if anything, at that time, if anything came from Detroit, it was one of Puff A&R. They called him Slam. He was from Detroit. He used to set up everything, for Diddy. The time I told y'all about Diddy getting the fellatio when Jennifer Lopez was upstairs, Slam set that up. You know what I mean? So if it came from Detroit, it probably came from Slam. Because he was another one of the dudes that was a flunky around there. But it's crazy, man. I really don't. I got daughters, man. I have words. I don't have words for that, bro. And I don't know any of the guys who were officers that worked for Bad Boy like myself would allow that shit to happen. They wouldn't allow that shit to go down. Puff and them, they know what to do when certain people are around. You understand? When they got those dudes who was, from the hood and they was doing bodyguard work and they was doing stuff like that, they may, but I don't know any of the officers that I knew that was working for Puff would allow any of that shit to go down. Because they know they could lose their job and they could be brought up on charges too. People ain't dumb. People ain't stupid. And there ain't that much money in the hip hop world to lose your job behind some dumb shit like that. That shit was crazy, bro. To do that to that little girl. But she's got to prove it. And she has to prove it by saying this. She cannot come out and say that this happened to her 20 years ago and she never told nobody else. Or she never tried to do something, about it. She had to tell somebody 20 years ago, when I was there, they did this to me. She had to write it in a diary or something like that, and she has to prove to the courts that this actually happened to her.
Right. Are you familiar with Daddy House?
Am I familiar with it? Am I familiar with it? Yeah. 44th between Broad, was it 8th, 7th and 8th? Yeah, between, I think 8th. 8th is going that way, is going down to between 7th and 8th. Yeah, I'm familiar with Daddy House. Yep.
Was he known for having relations with females at his studio? Did you know about it?
It never happened on my, I never seen him work. I never seen him mess with anybody on my watch at Daddy House. It was always business. When I went to Daddy House with Puff, it was always business. You know what I'm saying? We'll be coming from a club or something like that. He wanted to check on the artist. He wanted to check on the song or stuff like that. Or he'll have Ms. Lopez come over. Or he'll be checking on some music or whatever like that in the studio. It was always business when I was over there with him. No, now sometimes you get the groupies and the girls come up in there and stuff like that. But Puff never did none of that shit around me. Like on some they naked and having sex parties and shit like that at Daddy House. No, I never saw that.